Welcome back, everyone, to this Monster Energy DreamHack studio broadcast of the Nordic Championship 2019 Summer Season Round 8. We just watched a absolute brawl between Dusty and FH, where, it was a little bit of a game of hot potato. They were slaying each other left, right, and center, I suppose. 43 kills in 27 minutes. But after those 27 minutes had passed, it was Dusty who stood victorious. Now, a little bit of a messy kind of game here, but honestly, Dusty seemed to have at least a little bit more structure than FH, as we predicted. They went for that Baron call when they saw it, and FH were pretty much stumped. They were throwing themselves at the Baron pit, and you called them out, Saga, and the fact that they didn't really have any answers there without a realistic steal.
Yeah, especially when it's Sosa who gets picked off early. You just don't have the option really to go for the steal. But they tried and it very much backfired. 3 members alive, 3 members died. And from there on, it was pretty easy for Dusty just to stroll into the base and finish off the game. So they're gonna look to have to try and tidy that up because the early stages of the game went about as good as you could hope for if you're FH. It wasn't perfectly controlled in their favor, but when they were having these scrappy fights, particularly towards the bottom side, it was kind of in their benefit, apart from the one time where the entire Dusty team teleported bot lane and it ended up with a 4 for 3 at like 17 minutes or something. That was wild. But yeah, they've definitely been able to get the early advantages, which is great because that's what we've said is both of these junglers is what they want to be doing, is getting the advantages early on. And Sosa had the upper hand in that regard. But Dusty, the team play, they came together, Joachim and Addy with the synergy in the mid lane, with that one little steal where Joachim just dashes forwards and ultimate onto Legions to finish off the kill that Addy worked so hard to get. But we'll let him slide on that one because when it got to the later stages of the game, Addy's walls were on point and it just allowed Hoyes just to run through the team fights and shred the FH team.
Yeah, it felt sort of like a Hoyes enabling kind of ordeal that went on for Dusty this game. At least when they got back on their feet after Sosa completely annihilated the entire team there, because Sosa was running rampant. Remember, in the early game. So as you said, there are some pretty shining points here for FH. Some shining beacons of light on the side of the Icelandic first seed. So if they can just repeat what they did well in the early games and perhaps just not lose track of it and not panic when they are thrown into these decision-making kind of situations, which Dusty put them in, then I think there's hope still for this team. And also, obviously, Zaltator on this Nautilus was looking quite fine. I don't know. I'm still questioning the top lane draft decisions that they seem to continuously make. I would like to just stick Guy on a Karma or something and just play damage control a little bit because he's just being shut down way too hard. Nippler ran away with this game as well. It was Nippler and Hoyt who snowballed the absolute hardest in this game. Remember when Nippler frequently, 1v2ing, 2v3ing and all of that jazz off of the advantage that he was granted. Now, we are heading into the pick and ban phase for the second game. It's going to be Gragas Jarvan as well as the Kaiser taken away by FH away from Dusty, with Aatrox, Yuumi, and Irelia taken away from FH in response. Now, Nakliga is playing around a little bit, calling out Adi on his jungle with these hovers, the Malzahar, the Vel'Koz, as well as the Anivia, but finally goes for the Xayah priority lock-in. So ADC Xayah, there's just so much priority on this champion that it's indescribable in this league.
Yeah, and that might be enough to force Bad Habit to pick up the Rakan, just to make sure that they don't get that Xayah Rakan duo. But instead, it will be Lucian being empowered once again in the bottom lane, alongside that classic duo of Lucian Braum. The double tap passive from Lucian can stack up the Braum stun so quickly. And well, they've already got a kill at level 2 in this lane with a weaker version of this combination. So it's it's really worrying me that they've managed to get their hands on this because I don't know how quickly they might be able to get another kill in this particular lane against the Zyra duo.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be rough against Zyra Khan, indeed, because obviously with that W empowered auto attacks off of Zaya for Rakan, and with the increased shield dash range, that you got so much maneuverability, so much damage that you can, I guess, trade back as long as Joachim doesn't get the pick down on you. Now, as for the solo lane, we'll see an Akali from FH as well as that Malzahar by Adi. So the trend of prioritizing your mid lane picks continues for Dusty. They lock in that Malzahar, particularly, I guess, against Akali. It's a fine pick. There was these Akali changes, Saga. Remember in 9.15 where the changes to her shroud makes it no longer an obscurity. I think it's now invisibility that you can reveal with plenty of different tools here. So the matchup is much easier if you have some sort of reveal. Lee Sin would be fantastic coming in from Joachim, but I guess we're gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, the downside is if you can't get something with the true sight, as they call it, is you can reveal the position of the Akali using just a sweeper or a pink ward or something, but Malzahar, he needs to be able to actually click on people, to put his E down, to put his R down on top of them. But if he does get a chance to, which I'm sure at some point he will, in the combo of Akali, she has to pop out of the invisibility on the shroud to deal some damage. Addy just loves these champions where he just gets to choose someone on the enemy team and just say, all right, you don't get to play League of Legends today. Like you're just gonna stand there for like 3 seconds while my whole team beats up on you. And it worked so well with the Anivia. This time it's a single target lockdown that's absolutely guaranteed. It doesn't even rely on a well placed wall. It's just you press a button on them, and if they haven't spent that QSS tax, they're gonna die.
Yeah, exactly. It does force this said QSS tax onto the FH members, and yeah, I don't know. It's not the absolute worst thing to go on an Akali, but it does delay some of your key items on this champion. You want that Gunblade, you want the Zonias, perhaps even an orb in your hands, and if you have to pay the QSS tax, it just delays your power spike by a lot. And when you got an aggressive bottom lane, you got an Echo in the enemy team who's going to want to perhaps try to duel you, then any setback in your power spikes is going to be or cause a huge impact here for FH's, I should say, power spike timings, perhaps as they go up against a Dusty who's 1-0 up against them. There's the Azir lock-in, however, so it's going to be top lane Akali with mid lane Azir versus Malzahar. Now, how does that pan out? The specific matchup of Azir.
Okay, well, it's much less difficult than the Akali matchup into Malzahar because Malzahar, he loves being matched against melee champions because they have to get close to the minion wave to actually farm. And if you get close to a minion wave against Malzahar, you're gonna struggle because he's just gonna press E on minions and it'll pass over to you and you'll take a bunch of free damage. So Azir being able to farm from a little bit of a longer range with the Sand Soldiers is good, and he has defensive options as well. He can use the QE combo to get himself out, the same combo that he can use to start the fights in the later stages of the game. I'm interested to see whether this is an Echo top that we'll be seeing against the Akali, or is the Echo jungle. From the looks of things, that will be Jace into the Akali. So choke him. He's pulling out all the wacky champions for this one.
Yeah, he's going hard with the spiciness here, adding that little bit of extra on top. Now, I'm not quite convinced by FH's choice to go Azir here because we can meme all we want, but there is a lot of truth into the solo queue kind of environment that we find ourselves in this particular match, right? You've got all of these perfectly brawly champions with Malzahar. You know, you lock your champion down for what 2.5 seconds. You got the silence, you got everything. You can just have your team pummeled down on them. Yeah, you stun yourself for the same amount, but who even cares if you've got your team around yourself? We got the Echo who thrives in chaotic kind of splits up kind of situations where it's all straight up explosive. You know, a champion that kind of doesn't, that would be the Azir, who I feel, at least personally, I'm not an analyst as you, Saga. Perhaps you can shed some light on this, but I feel as if an Azir in a repeat of match one is going to struggle.
Yeah, if it was to play the exact same way, then yes, he definitely wouldn't have had the advantages that Legions was able to get on the Silas in the early stages. But when it comes to particularly where Dusty was getting a lot of their kills was catching people out in the jungle. Azir does always have that whoops button where he can just reset a fight, shove the entire enemy team away from him, and block off one of the jungle corridors so they can't be chased down in the same way that Hoyes was chasing people down on the Kai'Sa after they got caught out by an Anivia wall, which again they don't have on the kit for the side of Dusty, as it's the Malzahar. So as long as he's not getting caught out by the Nether Grasp, then he can always just have that option to reset the fight. The Jace and the Echo that are going to be diving on top of him and hyperactive as the carries will be shoved away and forced to find another angle to try and get a fight started.
Yeah, but the adaptation is the name of the game, seemingly, as we are going to head into the game in just a few, or just a short moment. We've got a pause running in the actual game. So, who do you think has the most priority when it comes to Sosa versus Joachim and looking at the lanes that they have? You've got a Jace versus an Akali on the top side, unless they choose to switch it around, right? So Jace is obviously going to be able to have that range advantage. We've got that shock blast. We'll be able to push the lane quite handily. At the same time, Naturally Guy wants to trade. And in the meantime, you got Adi's Wave Clear versus Legions. So who do you think will have the most freedom here between Joachim and Sosa to do whatever they feel?
So, in terms of a priority, as in looking for invades, looking for scuttle crabs, looking for maybe getting wards around the objectives, it's 100% in favor of Dusty because both of their solo lanes should just be shoving in all the time. Azir can stand up to the push from a Malzahar a little bit, but Akali into the Jace, she's gonna be shoved under her tower for the majority of that lane, and it will start to be pretty similar as well in the mid lane, as Malzahar will likely just constantly be shoving that lane in as well. So then both of them can look for roaming plays, try and get some wards, catch Sosa out, maybe clearing a camp, and then flash forwards with the Malzahar, catch him out with the Nether Grasp, and blow him up with the damage from Echo. Or it could be towards, we say, the objective control has been something that a lot of the teams have kind of been looking a little bit better at. Vision control in the previous game was nowhere near quite the levels that Falcon had, the one-sided control, but that could definitely be an aspect that plays into it because you're probably going to be a relatively even in the bottom side of things because Lucian Brom can go very, very aggressive, particularly from level 2, whereas Zyra Khan at level 1, if they both start W, can like notoriously find some picks. And again, it's the mismatch of summoner spells. It's the heal and the ignite against the teleport and the heal. In the previous game, it was the teleport and the heal that came out ahead in level 1. So we'll have to see if that plays into this matchup again, and if there's any bot priority to speak of, because that could play a lot into which team starts to get the control around the dragon, and the early game objectives, which can lead to advantages in the mid games.
Yeah, it was indeed the teleport and heal combination that did get the advantage, but it was off of that death by, I believe, Joachim in level, or in early levels at least. So netting them that advantage was huge, allowed Hoist to have something like a 20 CS lead or something throughout the laning phase, in a lane which we felt he should have lost otherwise. But the item advantage coming in clutch, we'll see if they can pull something similar off with that level 2 power spike, as you mentioned, of the Lucian Brom in game number 2. And we are heading into game number 2 now. The pause is over, heading into game, and here we have it. It all comes down to this. This is a must win by Dusty on FH. According to my Exodia kind of perfect outcome for FH, I'm sorry to say
It's
that they
already
will
doomed.
not 2-0 Dusty. And so I do believe that their playoff hopes are over, and I think the MJ Neon matchup ended 2-1 as well. So they're playing for upsets now, pretty much. And if they've got a little bit of a grudge against Dusty for doing so well in the Nordics, perhaps they want to shut them down.
Yeah, it's just the pride, the Icelandic pride. They want to secure themselves as They've already won 3-0 in the Icelandic Championships, but now things have kind of taken a turn as FH with the 1-0 advantage in this series. Sorry, Dusty with the 1-0 advantage. FH wanted to prove themselves stronger.
Speaking of level 1s, by the way, Zazato gets the ground entrance, but they didn't have the damage, and Bad Habit will be able to heal that one up. So with that bot lane trade now, Saga, and the pull coming in from Hoys, they are well set up for that level 2 power.
They certainly are. That was FH looking to make use of the level 1 strength of the Zyra Khan, both starting with the duo, but with the W in the duo. But yeah, the Braum just a little bit too tanky at level 1. Lands the CC. One auto attack is all it takes from him. Lucian quickly stacking that up, getting the stun. And that's a lot of health traded onto the FH bot lane. Hyperactive still sitting down at about half health and taking another Q from Lucian as well.
And you saw exactly when Hoys and Van Habit hit that level 2, they pushed away Zazato and Hyperactive way back. This showcase that, hey, you know what, we are ready to push you away as soon as we have the capabilities to do so. So nicely handled by them. At the same time, I just want to speak a little bit about the mid lane. We really had some question marks how this one was gonna push, or in whose favor it was going to push for. And Adi seems to be struggling a little bit with relentless Sand Soldier spear pokes by Legions here, which instead opens up, or it should open up Sosa a little bit, as we see Joachim obviously clearing that bot side scuttle.
Yeah, he's playing a little more conservatively, not wanting to shove in too far because he knows that Sosa can get a gank in the early stages, and letting Legion shove into his tower like this makes it a little dangerous for the Azir, as Joachim is behind him at the moment. They see Lee Sin on the ward. That could be just the indication. Nippler, get out of there, stay alive, we'll play mid lane.
And Nippler, with the sidestep, is going to dodge out on the Sonic Wave by Sosa as well. So both the mid and the top side getting out in favorable HP amounts. Meanwhile, Legions is in a little bit of a pickle here. The silence lands by Adi. Sosa is right there as well. So a simple dash by Legions is going to say no to Joachim's engage.
That's because he's playing towards the safe side of the map, which is always a good habit to get into if you're a mid laner. So you know your jungler's on the top side, play towards the top side of your lane.
Speaking of top side, Nippler gets first blooded by the early proactiveness by Sosa. Goes for the repeat gank. Yeah, Nippler, he flashes a little bit late. Sosa had already connected the Sonic Wave. Just only have to use that resonating strike to pick up that first blood, and an early advantage once again.
Oh, he might just do it again. No, Nakli guy recalled, headed back to base. If he teleports back into the minion wave, they could go for another kill here and really put Jace behind.
Yeah, he's going for that TP. Watch Sosa's positioning here. He's going for the recall, and Nippler wants that ward down, but he's going to take a chunk for it. Remember, he TP'd back. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter too much that Sosa doesn't manage to kill him here, but you chunk him as soon as he gets back to the lane, and that just forces a few potions. One corrupting potion already used.
Did force Sosa back into his own jungle though, so Joachim, he's really trying to play around the mid lane. This is that duo that Dusty loves to see, is the mid jungle duo doing well, but Legions is just dodging out of all of the pressure, and he's built himself up a really nice CS advantage on the scaling pick.
Oh yeah, he has. He's looking at the 20 CS lead, similar to what we saw last game. Remember, this is pretty much exactly the same kind of situation that we're going to go for us here. Apart from this time, Joachim is obviously farming a little bit more nicely for himself. But Sosa with the early advantage, the Legions with the early CS lead. And it's looking quite nice for FH here in the first 6 minutes of the game. And there is that
there it is.
As he hits level 6. And you know what? We said that everything was looking well for FH. Well, a level 6 Malzahar has other things in mind.
Yeah, he was playing so well to skirt around the aggression of Echo, but you can't really dodge out of a Nether Grasp.
You really can't, and Nippler fancies a 1v1 versus Nakli guy, and it is Nakli against the solo kill versus Nippler, but however, here is Joachim. We'll get that dash onto him, The
How's he still
vision play
alive?
here by Knuckly Guy is Aya is still alive. He's getting out of there actually. Joachim does not find the kill, and the perfect execution by Knuckly Guy wasn't available. So I'm not quite sure. Outmaneuver Joachim, I suppose.
Played well around the W. The flash as well burned from the Echo, so you can't get that instant range extension on the stun when he drops the parallel convergence, the W, to try and lock down someone like the Azir, who's been slippery enough to get out of the range a couple of times. Now he doesn't have that as a possibility to extend the range. So a few more seconds, about 30 more seconds or so until Malzahar gets his ultimate back, or 60 seconds rather. So there's a good window now for FH to make some plays where they don't have that instant lockdown, and it looks like the Dragon soloing out from Sosa will be the play they're looking for.
He should get this one quite easily for himself. There it is, an early Ocean Dragon, seemingly for free, and grants all of his laners a little bit of extra sustain, both for the mana and the HP, as no turrets have fallen just yet. So a nice little pickup there. Honestly, it's going to boost up FH just that little bit extra. And you know, as an Akli guy just goes for these short trades, and wants that rotation onto Nippler, wears him down. Perfect for him. Legions, the mana sustain to brawl out against Adi, slowly wear him down. Perfect. And the bot lane, who seems to be quite even, every little bit helps.
I'm wondering, what did Hyperactive flash away from? His flash has been on cooldown for about a minute, and that was around the time where we saw Hoyes just teleporting back to base and then back into lane.
Interesting. Yes. Speaking of, actually, I've got nothing.
How did that
Sosa,
land?
meanwhile, yeah, he gets that resonating strike after the Q hits by the setup by Nakli guy. So nice top lane gameplay. Nakli guy showing up in the second game. This is exactly what we want to see from him.
Sosa has paid for some sort of range extension on the Lee Sin Q. I swear that should not have hit, but Nippler gets caught out. His third death of the game. All 3 kills for FH have been in the top side so far, and yes, he's keeping up in farm, but Nippler is struggling against this Akali, and that is never what you want to see, is an assassin getting strong.
And especially not if you are this this kind of sieging, split pushing kind of style champion. You know, a Jace who is behind is not the best kind of tool that you want in your toolbox here, especially not with a strong assassin on that Akali. Obviously, even forced to go Hex Drinker first, so it's going to take some time before Nippler comes online. Now we speak about the KSS tax. How about the Hex Drinker tax?
Yeah. I mean, it's not too bad for Jace, especially when you have AP in the mid as well, but oh boy, this is pretty bad.
Yeah, flash forward by Azi with that Nether Grasp is gonna force a flash by Legions. However, it is a 3-man commitment, which leaves Hoyes alone in the bottom lane. And meanwhile, Sosa is going for the invade onto Joachim, but Joachim will surely find him here. Actually walks straight past, and Sosa gets away with that chicken steal. And it's Nakida in a 1 versus 2 until Sosa arrives. Here he is. Dragon's Rage is available for him. There it is. He doesn't get the knockup, however, but the ultimate from Joachim is huge, and double kill for the prodigal jungler from Dusty will equalize the kill score and net them a gold lead.
It's not a big one. It's only a little gold lead, but it's enough. It's 400 gold now after the double kill picked up by Joachim. And on top of that, it's a couple of assists picked up for Nippler and a little bit of time where he just gets to sit in this lane, farm up, maybe try to push down a turret plate or 2. But it's kind of interesting that it's around the top lane that Dusty is actually going to get themselves their way back into this game, because we just saw 4 members of Dusty shove in the bot lane, shove in the mid lane, and look for something around the bot side. The dragon had already gone, so there wasn't an objective to be picked up there. They were looking to try and maybe get some wards, maybe steal some counts, maybe find Sosa in an unsafe position, and they went for the play on Legions. They committed hard. Abby flashed forward with the ult, and he wishes he could do it now.
Speaking of Legions, he gets engaged on by Adi. Actually, he picks the engage himself, goes for that Emperor's Shuffle, pushes Adi into the turret range, but it's Joachim who is right next to him. However, Sosa threads the needle. Look at this guy. It's now a jungle versus jungle kind of fight. with about 50 minions on the side of Joachim as well. So a nice little pickup there as a trade for Sosa.
Yeah, it's an important trade to get, as Sosa's both his mind and his body telling him yes as he just dashes forward and executes Addy after Legions went for the aggressive players. Addy, he's been shoving in this mid lane. Yes, he's down in CS, but he was still putting out the pressure under the tower. So Legions went for the shuffle play to get him underneath the tower while trying to take advantage of the fact that the Nether Grasp was down. But Joachim was already behind the tower. Almost backfired.
Yeah, and questionable engagement by Bad Habit as well. Yeah, I don't know. It almost did backfire for him, but obviously it did turn out into that 1-for-1. And honestly, the team seemed pretty even at this stage, but it's probably going to stay this way as well with the back and forth for quite some time. So I don't think we can really call which team has the strong points quite just yet, even though Nakligai is looking quite good with the kills and the assists. However, down in CS, and Sosa's looking nice, obviously, but he looked nice in the previous game as well, and they couldn't translate that. Now this time Joachim is quite strong, and that should enable Dusty to at least have something to say about FH's early advances. Now Nipla, now baited into a 1 versus 2, but he flashes away, so he's seemingly fine.
Yeah, it's weird though that Sosa has put so much commitment and time in towards this top lane, and just with that double kill that they picked up and the time that bought for Nipla to just sit in this lane, push a couple of waves without being pressured, take a tower plate for himself, he's actually ahead in gold by about 100 at this point. And Legions, what is this?
He gets onto Legions. I'm sorry, I missed that. Hoy's going on to Hyperactive, and Hyperactive gets the kill onto that. So cross-map plays indeed with early or almost survivals there across the board, but it's actually Hoy's who will go down. The Hyperactive and Zazator duo is coming online as we speak. The Flash and the Ignite had to be burned, and this will net them some tower plates before the 14-minute mark. But however, here is Bad Habit. The TP is coming in by Adi. Joachim is here as well. Zazator goes for the knockup, but can't find it. It's indeed that Glacial Fissure that will go on to Hyperactive, and he does die where he stands. And you know, Air Dragon is open, but as is that bot side tower. Now, which do they prioritize? Because obviously FH are sieging the mid side.
Yeah, they've got 15 seconds to try and get some tower plates. The Demolish from Braum is available, so they can try and get some, but there's a 2-man defense.
2-man defense, and they seem to be able to do it. Joachim does get knocked up, but obviously stuns Zazator in return, and they will now rotate away a little bit. Turret plates have fallen now as the 14-minute mark hit. Some gold at least picked up across the board, but no first tower just yet. Instead, we got that Skull Crab setup as the Dusty bot lane seems to want to back away and recall and go back and purchase. First tower actually in favor of Nipla. And imagine that, how the mighty fall, Nakligai.
That's crazy, actually. 450 gold picked up for him, just boosting up that gold lead that isn't shown in the kills.
Yeah, but seems to be a little bit short-lived as Legion comes up to the top side and will get that final rod down onto Nipple. The final attack comes in, and Nadi does have the Nether Grass available. I don't think he needs to use it though. Silence is enough, and that is a 1-for-1, despite the engage onto Nipla. However, is it over? Who even knows? Sosa is waiting in the wings, as is Nakligai. Will they tower dive this? I'm not quite sure. Nakligai looks for it, but I don't think you want to tower dive a Malzahar with Nether Grasp available.
No, you really don't. But that does show that, yes, the Hex Drinker maybe isn't the best itemization for Nippler as a first item, but how strong it actually is, because it took Legions that extra couple of seconds to actually finish off the kill. Now Lipper's just teleported back in, and he's winning against Nakligai.
He is. Look at that Shock Blast acceleration gate. There's that second perfect execution stack. Nipla finds the kill onto Nakligai. That's worth teleport indeed. Yes, Sosa's on the way, but I don't think he can 1 versus 2. He actually goes for the kill onto Joachim, but he can't find it. But it at least forces Joachim's chrono break in response. Yeah, Legions is quite close, but as is Adi. Actually, it's not quite over yet. Sosa, Joachim, trying to test each other's patience a little bit, but there is the back lane instead. Bot lane, Zazator is caught, has the stopwatch. There is the quickness onto Bad Habit as well as Hoyes. Hoyes has a lot of damage but can't find the range onto Zazator. The buffed culling is live, but the minions come in at the nick of time and the bot lane of FH, hyperactive as Zartator, they managed to get out, at least with parts of their HP bars still intact.
Just about, but this is where we wanted to see the Lucian getting the advantages in the 2 versus 2 while everything else, all the other 6 members of the game are being active elsewhere on the map. If they're just left in the 2 versus 2, the Lucian Braum duo is so strong.
Oh, the engage here onto Adi by Legions, but who's catching who? Adi with the Nether Grasp, and now it's Sosa who tries to get something in return, but Dusty on the hand of Niffler gets that double kill, and they're looking at the Rift Herald as well as the middle lane. However, Adi got way too low of an HP bar to try to do anything here. And maybe that's a little bit greedy here. They're going for Air Dragon as well as a mid lane sort of prodding here by Adi as well as the Rift Herald.
The shock blast from Nippler over the wall just gave Adi that extra bit of damage that he needed, and now they're going to take both neutral objectives. They get the Cloud Drake, and Joachim is soloing out on the Rift Herald as well. So I'm expecting that to be used in the mid lane now that turret plates aren't a factor, so you don't have to worry about how much gold you're getting from it. Just opening up the map, making sure the Azir is in a little bit of a longer lane, a little bit less safe. Zarzator might not be safe himself.
Yeah, a little bit questionable here, but obviously did have Hyperactive right next to him, but did he really just sell out his ADC? It seems like it. There's a corner break again. Niffler now in a 1 versus 2. Everyone's selling out each other, it seems. Niffler flashes away. What is going on? Meanwhile, Nakligai gets the flank, the perfect execution second stack, and there it is. Double kill and 2 shutdowns, I believe, in favor of Nakligai. And what on earth was that?
Yeah, Nakligai just got like 700 gold from those 2 kills. Like, additionally, that's wild. But he's still 1,500 gold down, and that's only going to go up now as Hoyes, he's been left alone in this mid lane. They didn't even need the Rift Herald to take it. Mid lane turret is already gone.
Mid lane turret is gone, a boss on top is obviously also gone. The map is wide open in favor of Dusty, and they still have that Herald available to them. They're trying to catch Legions here. I'm not quite sure they can get there in time though. Surely he should be able to get that recall off. Yeah, he does. So how do they most efficiently use this Herald, Saga?
So it's really going to depend where they have their points of pressure and how exactly they want to use them. Do they hold on to it and wait until the Baron spawns and then put it down in the bottom lane to make sure that someone has to be answering down there while they can put pressure around the Baron as it spawns at 20 minutes? Do they feel confident enough in their items, in their gold lead, that they can take the Baron and take the damage from it and potentially turn around on a fight? It's all going to depend on exactly how Dusty feel their advantage is at the moment, because it's 3,000 at almost 20 minutes. It's not a huge advantage, and when you have champions like the Azir who can poke from a longer range and lock people down in the Baron pit, it can be difficult, but Akali might get caught.
Yeah, the setup is here at least. Nakligai now caught by Adi, and it's a simple one-click wonder to shut down Nakligai with the assistance of Joachim, and there is that Herald in response. Depending on where they have the point of pressure, well, it is top lane after that pick. This should be the inner turret, surely. In response, FH, they are rotating the Azir there. Legions is walking up. Joachim now caught between Sosa as well as Zarzator, but it's not going to go down. He doesn't get hit by Sosa's Q. Second charge of Herald. The top lane inhibitor turret now almost gone. Oh, the Q misses by Sosa. However, Hoyes slays Hyperactive on the wayside, and there's a jungle versus jungle fight going on in the jungle. And now the inhibitor is wide open here as the turret
They're still
is
going.
destroyed. They are still going. Legions poke with a Sand Shoulders. It's very real. There is the engage off of Zarzator. That habit forced to stopwatch. Hoyes flashes forward and gets the kill. Look at this man. He's everywhere. Triple kill with the maneuverability of this bot lane ADC. Watch him in this fight. Honestly, the guy's everywhere.
Holy moly, that was a very split fight. We kept getting glimpses into the jungle 1v1 up around this area where they're at, as Lee Sin's body just waves goodbye on the way past, as he did lose the 1v1 to Joachim. But while that was happening, the rest of the team just getting picked off slowly as FH was trying to defend that top lane inhibitor. They lost the tower, the inner tower, to the Rift Herald. The second one, a huge burst to the charge of the Rift Herald, and it's an immediate turnaround. And I wondered how confident Dusty would be in their advantage, whether they're going to turn on the dragon and the Baron in 20 minutes. Instead, they just kill the whole team of FH first and then do the Baron. So turns out, yeah, they're pretty confident.
Okay, Saga, did you see the teleport that just came in?
The mid lane?
Yes, Legion's a teleport.
Legions.
So remember last game where FH just sort of threw themselves at the Baron? This time wasn't a full-on throw at the Baron, but still committing with a teleport when the Baron is pretty much already gone, and it's only one guy committing. It just shows a little bit of miscommunication, perhaps coming in from this team, and he just teleports and then walks away. So that's an important cooldown use as you want to defend against this Baron. Now, meanwhile, in the bot side, teleport comes in from Adi. There is some practice coming from FH, and they will try to catch Knipler, but Knipler just has too much survivability with that Move Malmortius and gets the double kill instead, and Adi picks up the third. And Dusty are looking unstoppable here in the bot side. As soon as they get their hands on that Baron, there's just no response from FH.
Yeah, that Hex Drinker pickup is so clutch, actually, for Niffler. Legions, even with an ultimate like that, it's not going to be enough.
Not going to be enough. Hyperactive, the only one standing. Now Joachim using that corner break to... Yeah, okay. I get it.
To the runic echoes.
Yeah, the fadeaway, I suppose. And that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Dusty, they pull off the 2-0 and claim themselves to be the superior Icelandic team. But it's not quite over yet. Mind you, actually, it is going to be a little bit of a brawl before at that point. Adi flashing forward, but surely this should be the Nexus falling. Dusty on their hunt for a playoff spot. They're looking great. FH are slain quite handedly by this powerhouse of a team.
Yeah, and a 2-0 fashion as well is really going to do wonders for Dusty as they're looking to try and climb their way back up in the standings. They're 7-9 was their game score before this one.
Yeah, as they're
Now
trying to climb their way up in the standings, a 2-0
9.
definitely matters a lot, for sure. They want
especially when
end
Copenhagen
these
Flames
games
got
as handedly as humanly possible.
Yeah, especially with Copenhagen Flames losing 0-2, so they're sat at 10-11.
I would
actually.
like to just check if my co-caster can hear me, or
Sometimes, yes.
hello. All right. I'm right here. I apologize for that one, ladies and gentlemen, but that is obviously going to be Dusty taking down FH in quite a fancy fashion there. It looked much cleaner in the second game than in the first. Obviously, there were some question marks in the early game with Sosa snowballing quite out of control here. But obviously, Dusty, they got the upper hand, they claimed that Baron, and then it was just all cleanly and linear from that point. So there you go. Dusty looking good.
Hashtag just Discord things.
Beautiful. Yeah, unfortunately.
So, Copenhagen Flames losing 0-2 puts them at a 10-11 in their overall game score, which is below the 50% that Dusty has now secured with this 2-0 victory over FH. So they are actually at a higher position in that race for fourth place coming into next Tuesday's games. So Dusty's looking like a potential contender, especially after how clean that second game was in comparison to the first one, with the kind of stranger picks like the Echo Jungle that we haven't seen that often. Lucian Braum hasn't been a lane that's been played in competitive games for a good while, but they still make it work, and it looks really, really clean doing it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun bringing or seeing them bring out that Echo pick, innovating just a little bit here, and also showcasing crucially for a potential playoffs that hey, they've got a lot of weapons in their arsenal. They can bring out the Echo. They can bring out the Jace top lane, the Mauser, obviously the Adi is known for here. So obviously that shifts a little bit of focus onto potentials for their opponents. And as you said, looking at that fourth place, you want to get up against the fifth place round robin finisher, or if you're fifth and you want to go up against the fourth. So that is going to matter quite a lot. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be Dusty 2-0ing FH. Now, I want to give a big thank you to Saga here for joining us on the evening. It was a pleasure having you around, Saga.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I love me some Nordic League of Legends. I loved the Icelandic showdown. Say I've been to Iceland. I love the country. Those guys were a lot of fun to watch. They were a lot of fun to talk to in lobby. It's been a great time.
And yeah, thank you for joining us. Indeed, it was a pleasure having you around. And that will obviously mean the end of tonight's broadcast. As we head into round 9 next week, the matches are still to be decided. We'll have a look at the standings and then decide just what kind of end game action we'll be bringing you. But for now, from myself, Saga, and the entire broadcast crew, I want to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.